What's good? What's good, chat room? A tier list for Marvel movies. What I figured today, before we officially start any streaming or start any gaming, I want to actually rank the movies for myself, because I don't think I've ever actually officially made a list like this for myself, or even publicly have done this. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to rate the movies. And I have a very good metric. So we have from GOAT to awesome to, oh, you can't even see it. So we got GOAT, we got awesome, great, good, aight, to meh, to nah, and then to stinky. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to do this. We're gonna put all of them in stinky. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to just kind of move them in certain areas where we think, or where I think, they belong. So they all start at stinky. Everyone starts at stinky. It's no secret. Every single movie's got to start somewhere, and it's got to start where it stinks. So we go here, and it was actually, believe it or not, it was actually really hard to find a good tier list for Marvel movies. A lot of them included just bullshit. For some reason, one of them included Logan, which is not part of the MCU at all, and then the other one included Spider-Man 1 through 3, but it was Raimi Spider-Man. So I'm like, you guys need to stop. Not everything is related. But I'm gonna tell you right now, this list is probably going to get controversial, because the fact of the matter is, I watch a lot of movies. I've been with the MCU for the longest time, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, my list is gonna get very, very interesting. Do waifu, just because it's very large, and I'm keeping it low just so that way, in case one of my friends who wants to edit this video later can add different music cues or something like that in there. If they want to go nuts with it, they can absolutely. So I'm just making sure the music is kind of leveled out. So let's just start by moving all of them into nah. I can see a couple of stinkies in here. Okay. So here's the deal. Do I keep Ant-Man and the Wasp in stinky? Nah, it's gonna go in nah. It's gonna go up there. I do already see one stinky that we're gonna keep in there. I'm just gonna do this. There we go. 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 You don't move. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. There we go. Yeah. So, the only stinky one, the really, really big stinker, is Thor: Dark World. This movie is boring. This movie is dreadfully boring. I mean, granted, it does do a few cool notes with Norse mythology, with the Dark Elves and everything, but it's boring. This shit is boring. God-awful boring. So, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Thor Dark World is going to be the stinky. The absolute stinky. We're gonna get into the meh tier now. So now we're gonna start moving some good ones. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp is gonna stay in nah. Now, granted, I mean, it's fine. It's a good, blockbuster type of movie. The kind of movie that you go into the theaters and be like, okay, this is entertaining. It's fine. It's just gonna be one of those movies where you just pop popcorn and just turn your brain off for a good few minutes. It's fine. But I will say, Ant-Man and the Wasp is gonna go in the nah tier because it's entertaining. It's entertaining in the sense that Grown Ups is entertaining. You watch Grown Ups just because you're bored. At least I'm not bored watching Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm at least a little bit entertained, but I'm not bored. So that's the big thing. And I say bored because obviously that's a word that we're going to be coming back to a lot. Everybody's got one. They stink, but they can provide some interest. All right, so now we're going to go into the mehs. All right. Whoop. Did I move a few? Oh no, I'm fine. We're gonna get into some of the sows. So I'm gonna say this right now. Eternals. It's aight. It's aight. I like Eternals. I like Eternals in the sense of it does something completely fucking different. Like, it absolutely is not formulaic. It does things to where you question if this is going to be the future of the MCU, and it's like, oh, okay, I can vibe with this, kind of. It sets up for very interesting things, and not gonna lie, the cast list that they have for the Eternals, like the actual, like, people who are the characters, the cast list is great. Like, I love the one actress who is actually deaf and signs. She is fantastic. And not only that, like, I was talking with one of my buddies, and he was saying that, the way that they use, like, speed in that movie, like, her ability to be able to, like, move at, like, the speed of sound and whatnot, yeah, it was actually pretty cool. Like, the effects that they used and, like, the cinematography that they did for, like, the speed motions and everything, it was pretty cool. I'm gonna give it to him in the sense that, yeah, this movie was, I enjoyed it. I would say Hawkeye is Moon Knight, obviously going up further. First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Ragnarok, and up there. Now we're getting into some of the real meat and potatoes here, chat. Now we're getting into some real interesting things, because now comes the part where we either move stuff down or move stuff up. Now we're getting into some real meat and potatoes, because I'm going to tell you right now, Black Widow is probably going to stay right there. In terms of the other stuff that would probably go in meh. No, I think for the most part, these three right here, these three are like the defining de factos of like the bottom list, like the ones that you just go, ugh. Like you maybe watch it if it's on TV, maybe turn Ant-Man and the Wasp on to turn your brain off, maybe throw on Black Widow on Disney Plus just to have something in the background, and if you're really desperate, you throw on fucking Dark World. But for the most part, I think those bottom two, or these bottom three, are gonna probably stay where they are. So now we're getting into the sauce, the real sauce, the real meat and potatoes here. So we're gonna do the same thing like we did last time. We're gonna just keep on moving. Now we're getting into some interesting territory. So let's see. Who's moving up and who's getting demoted? First Avenger, that one goes up. Guardians 2 goes up. Love and Thunder goes up. What If goes up. Moon Knight goes up. Black Panther, No Way Home. Yes. 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 And yes. And in terms of what could go down, no. I think, or actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with Ant-Man being in good. It's good. It's good in the sense that it does interesting things in terms of VFX. Like, the movie was obviously going to be a very, very, very different movie if Edgar Wright was still directing it, but it still has some of those, like, Edgar Wrighty type of moments. In terms of visual effects, I think the first Ant-Man does a very good job, besides Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just the simple reason of it's obviously the first one, and it actually focuses more on the shrinking abilities and instead of just being comedic. Now, granted, it's a comedic heist movie, but it still has those moments where you can actually see that, oh, okay, so the visual effects are being done in a very different standard. It's way more fun, and I like that. I think Ant-Man is interesting just for the simple reason of, and not only that, again, the visual effects really do speak for themselves. Like, the whole shrinking thing about that movie is really good. Incredible Hulk ranked too low? No, Incredible Hulk was alright. I'll keep Incredible Hulk down there. It's entertaining, but after getting Mark Ruffalo as new Hulk, I find Mark Ruffalo to be way more entertaining. Now, granted, again, Incredible Hulk is still a good movie, but I think the interpretation of that Hulk is alright. But the version of the Hulk that we have now, it's way better. You know what I mean? It's not really Ed Norton anymore, it's Mark Ruffalo, and I can appreciate Mark Ruffalo way more. Granted, Ed Norton is still a good actor, but I mean, the Hulk that we have now is great. Now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes. This is like the fine dining experience. Like these are the movies that you go in and you're like, yum. So we're gonna move. Yes. 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 Well, you know what?
What are you going to do?
I think I can vibe with this one. I think I can vibe with this set list too. In terms of like these ones that are down here, obviously like Iron Man and Captain America, they suffer from first movie syndrome, so they're going to be like a little like kind of interesting in the sense that they were the founding fathers, they were entertaining. It's a little dated, but they're still good. Like they hold up. They hold up in the sense that yes, they are entertaining. They set up for much more. I do enjoy Captain America. I do enjoy Iron Man a bit more than Captain America, just for the simple reason of it's like better. Obviously better than Iron Man 2. And Iron Man 3 is probably like just as good as the first one. Shang-Chi, yeah, this one can stay in good, just for the simple reason of it did things that were interesting, but I do wish the movie was more like the bus scene, like the bus fight scene with actual like martial arts and whatnot. Like if the movie actually simply just focused more so on like the martial arts, then it would be a much entertaining movie. Just for the simple reason of like it's not going to be as formulaic, it's not going to be just the samesies type of movies that we've been getting down here. It would have been like different in the sense that no, it's not a Marvel movie, it's a fucking martial arts movie. It would have been fucking dope. And then What If? I enjoyed What If. Miss Marvel, it was good. I enjoyed Miss Marvel. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, again, good. Really good. Yeah, these ones still hold up though. These ones are still holding up in like the good candlelight because for the simple reason of they're entertaining and they set up like really interesting things. Now we're getting into the awesome. So we're gonna go D Strange, both Guardians, Moon Knight.
Yeah, but it still hurts. Oh, yes, the past never hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Ah!
Yes. I think we might have our good. I think we might have our awesome list. I think we might have it. Unless I change my mind about something. And I do, and it's this. It's that. Spider-Man Homecoming is great. It's a very, very good coming-of-age story. Now, obviously, they're like the tropes of Peter simply just like being there for just trying to figure out exactly who the hell he is, or like sticking to Tony like glue, but there's still that moment of where he has to come to grips that he needs to be like himself. He is Spider-Man. In terms of coming of age stories, like, it gets really good. And not gonna lie, I'm a fan of what they did with Vulture. Because Vulture is definitely not a villain that people genuinely think of when they think of Spider-Man. Too many times when they're pulling up Spider-Man, obviously there's like Doc Ock, there's Venom. No one really gives a shit about Vulture that much, which is sad because Vulture is good. Vulture is an interesting villain. And then obviously we have the ending to Avengers movies. I was debating on putting Avengers 1 up in awesome, but it again suffers from like first round movies to where it suffers from it's the first one, it's gonna have its problems. It's really hard not to put Avengers up there into awesome, but I mean, it's close. It's a very, very close second because it is entertaining. And then Civil War and Winter Soldier, yeah, those two are gonna come together. Like, Winter Soldier is great just because it's that government conspiracy movie to where like nothing is like set or nothing is really true to how it holds up in certain lights and whatnot. Like, it's that whole government is bad type of scenario, like a lot of mangas and animes are doing, like Attack on Titan. It's good. But then you got fucking Civil War. And Civil War is honestly one of my favorites just for the simple reason of it's not going too hard into like the whole comic of Civil War, but it's just enough to where it's like, oh, okay. We've got a bunch of heroes and it's entertaining. And not only that, but I think it also like brings to light some other kinds of topics that this movie was trying to illustrate. Like, say, is it a good idea to have these many restrictions onto heroes? And if not, why can't we just continue to do what we do? Well, obviously, more people are going to get hurt. So again, it's that whole philosophy movie. You have two polar opposites. Like, it's really, really good in the sense of, like, you have two people just going at each other with two very different philosophies, and then you have Civil War. Obviously, I just described the whole fucking movie, but hey, it's entertaining. You have a whole great cast list of characters, and this was the movie we got introduced to fucking Spider-Man with. Of course I'm gonna put it in great. Let me just make sure, because we're getting into GOAT territory. We're getting up here, and it's I'm gonna tell you right now, chat. You're not gonna be ready, but let me just make sure, see if I need to make any adjustments. I don't think we need to. So now comes the part where things are going to get a little controversial. Multiverse of Madness is one of my GOATs. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Multiverse of Madness, loved that movie. 100% loved that movie. It was not any kind of formula. It was just Sam Raimi being Sam Raimi. He had full reign for this movie just to go abso-fucking-lutely nuts. Literally putting in Evil Dead cam, just having a ball with this movie. I loved Multiverse of Madness. Way more than I expected. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, I myself consider the same movie since they kind of happen at the same time. But yes, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 are GOATs. No questions. None whatsoever, chat. I'm looking at you. There will be no questions why Guardians are GOATs. Do you understand that? Then we're good. And then, okay. know what? Let's stick one more in here. Let's stick one more in the GOAT. And you know what? You know something? I don't think people were gonna expect this, and I kinda didn't expect this myself. I think Infinity War is actually better than Endgame. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Infinity War is like a bit, just a bit better than Endgame. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, this is not like any of the heroes' story. No, this is Thanos' story. This is Thanos' hero story. This movie is literally about Thanos and him winning. Like an actual villain. Like winning. Literally fucking winning. He did it. He achieved his goal. He did everything that he was going to set out for, and the goal was achieved. Half of the universe was completely obliterated, and then that was it. That was it. They lost. And then obviously Endgame came in, but I would say Infinity War is better just for the simple reason of it's a Thanos story. Endgame is obviously the coup de grace, the one that basically just like caps the story and everything, but it's very fan servicey. And the reason why I'm also leaving No Way Home in awesome. I know a couple of chat members in here are probably thinking to themselves, why isn't No Way Home in GOAT yet? It's not going in GOAT. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's just as fan servicey as Endgame. Now, granted, fan service is good. I'm not going to complain about fan service. Fan service is fine. I enjoy a little bit of fan service or a bunch of fan service in my movie. But it gets to a point where, okay, there needs to be something else in this movie that has to entertain me. Now, granted, there's a lot in this movie that entertains me, but I don't think that this movie is probably going to go into the GOAT section because it leans way too hard into its fan service. Like, Disney had to put out like so much to get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back into these movies, and granted, that's fucking nuts. But at the same time, it again focuses way too hard on its fan service. I can appreciate fan service, but don't inject it way too much into my movies. And then I obviously am going to keep Doctor Strange because it's a fantastic movie. And I'm keeping Moon Knight up here because I have been saying for fucking years that I want Moon Knight to appear in the MCU. And you know what? It was everything I could have fucking asked for. Moon Knight was exactly the thing that I was looking for the simple reason of it was an introduction to a hero that nobody absolutely fucking knew. Nobody knew about Moon Knight. And then out comes the series, and it did exactly what it did. It introduced the hero. It introduced a hero who suffers from split personality disorder, which I didn't even know myself. Like, I didn't know about Moon Knight. I simply wanted Moon Knight to appear for memes, but after watching it, I fell in love with the character. I absolutely fucking love Moon Knight. It is fantastic. So it stays in awesome. Now, obviously, like, these two are very fan servicey, and then Spider-Man Homecoming I really enjoyed because it's a really good coming of age story. But I genuinely believe that Multiverse of Madness is a GOAT because it's literally Sam Raimi going nuts. It's Sam Raimi having fun with a character. I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige looked at Sam and said, you know what? Fucking go nuts, kid. Just do what you want. You have full reign. Same reason how Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 are kind of GOATs as well, because James Gunn just had the wheel. He just went for it, and he made these movies super entertaining. And then, obviously, Infinity War, Thanos wins. You're not really going to see that in a lot of other superhero movies anymore, where the villain actually wins.
Do you see now? It means becoming like
I think in terms of list chat, I think we did it. I'm saying this about Endgame. You take out Toby and Andrew and the callbacks and what have you got? You just get a Spider-Man movie. I mean, that's it. It probably would have dropped. It probably would have stayed. I mean, because Doctor Strange is in it. I fucking love Doctor Strange. I mean, obviously, if you take out Toby and Andrew, it's still going to be like a good Spider-Man movie. It's still relatively going to be like the same premise. It's just like without the callbacks or without the fan service. And I think without the fan service, that movie would have fucking collapsed. Absolutely. Like, No Way Home would have not been the same if it didn't have the amount of fan service that it had. And I don't think Endgame would have had the same type of recognition that it does without its fan service. Which is probably why they're up here, because fan service does justice for its movies. So I think in terms of tier list, chat, I think we nailed it. I think this is probably the definitive kind of tier list that people are looking for in terms of movies, and nobody can judge me, because this one is absolutely going to be the one that people look to and say, yes, that's the one. That's the one I can get with. I can agree with this. Yes. Thor Dark World and Stinky, finally someone gets me. Multiverse of Madness being a goat, yes, someone fucking gets it. Someone understands. They understand, man. They get it. They understand. I'm gonna label it greatest tier list. There we go. Beautiful. I think we discovered something, chat. I think we discovered something about ourselves and about myself and about you. Your opinion is a butthole, but mine is also a butthole. But then again, I wipe. So, you and I are not the same, chat. I'm going to tell you right now, you and I are not the same, because I don't think you wipe.